All right, so just before the video started, I wanted to give a little bit of updates on a couple of things because I recorded this video on Monday, so a lot of things hadn't happened with, the previous horror on YouTube kind of video I made. So if you haven't known, or if you're new and didn't watch the other one, or didn't come from what I'm about to say, then a YouTuber by the name of Nightmare Files, obviously somebody in the horror community themselves, posted my video to their community page. So my last one has gotten a lot of traction. If you're from that, now watching this kind of second part to that one, welcome to my channel. I hope you stick around and like what you see and maybe even subscribe. But if not, just big thank you to Nightmare Files, and, big thank you to anybody that's came over from that post. It really means a lot to me to see my videos getting that kind of traction. And I know some of you guys don't really agree with my points coming from the horror community, but, if you're here watching the video anyway, even if you're here to say you don't like it, I appreciate it. So with that being said, let's get into the actual video now. All right, what is going on, guys? Today we are back with another What Happened To kind of video. Now, just recently, not very long ago, I obviously made my, what happened to horror on YouTube or something like that, where I just kind of talked about the general decline and sort of move towards top 10 kind of things that the, horror community has kind of been doing recently, and how some of the narration and stories have just felt a bit more dull for people who typically enjoy that kind of content. Now, on that video, I received a comment from Reaper's Horror Stories, which, by the way, if you haven't actually heard of him or seen him or anything like that, which there's a good chance you haven't because he's a pretty small channel, he actually makes some really cool horror content, and there's different voices within it. It's pretty visually stimulating. It's definitely pretty interactive and stuff. You're seeing a lot. There's a lot going on. It keeps you entertained in the video, unlike a lot of the other a lot of other bigger horror YouTubers who will just kind of put a JPEG up or something like that. Or I don't know, just a shifting image every 3 minutes or something. He actually keeps it pretty engaging. So yeah, if that's interesting, go check him out. And he's also pretty much the whole reason why this video is being made. So thank you for the comment and the idea. I do really appreciate it. But he kind of addressed some of the issues with my other video, and that was I kind of covered some points that are there's a good reason behind why it happened. So that would be moving to the top 10 format that I kind of talked about, the top 10 unsolved mysteries and stuff like that. That's kind of done because apparently him, who obviously has more experience with YouTube and the horror kind of thing and how YouTube deals with it, in the same way as I kind of understand how YouTube deals with its commentary community. It apparently is pretty harsh against stuff and in restricted mode and stuff like that. If there's any swearing, any, topics that are a little too dark or too graphic or violent or something like that, then you're basically out of the algorithm. So he said that the top 10 is kind of like a sweet spot for the moment. It gets a lot of views, it gets you out there, and the algorithm accepts it. It doesn't just, spit you back out onto the curb. So that's kind of why that shift took place. So that kind of answers my issue in the previous video. And on top of that, he also just said that they've gotten so stale, a lot of the stories that I was talking about, that just because so many channels have done the same story over and over and over again, it's who really wants to listen to that? So that was kind of the clarifications of my previous video, like what I didn't really elaborate on enough, or just what was like common sense and I was a little, not sure about. So that helps clarify stuff from that video. If you haven't seen it, go check it out so you understand what I'm talking about. But on top of that, he also left a comment suggesting that I look into something called HorrorTube. Now, from what I can understand, HorrorTube exists, but not in the intended way. So a lot of the horror, the bigger and smaller, it's kind of just across the whole genre, they'll use this hashtag or just a tag in the video or just is something like that of HorrorTube. Now, you may be thinking, okay, it's just a play on YouTube, HorrorTube, whatever, same as like, I don't know. I mean, you could put tube anything. I was going to make a joke there, but I'm not going to do it. I'm going to restrain myself. I'm pulling my mind out of the gutter for this video. We're going to make it. So, yeah. But, you could say, well, okay, whatever. It's just something ending in tube. I mean, there's a ton of things like that. What's the big deal? Obviously, if they're making horror on YouTube, why wouldn't they use it as a hashtag? It seems like a no-brainer, especially if it's a hashtag that's kind of caught on. So the reason that it's a little more interesting than just that is because there were much bigger plans for, kind of the name HorrorTube. It was originally planned out a while ago to be kind of like a YouTube alternative, which is also something I've talked about before. I've talked about other YouTube alternatives and kind of how they work in other videos, like, for example, Storyfire, I think it was called, or whatever, the one that Keemstar was really pushing, and after Leafy got banned, he made a couple videos on there, and there were a couple things on that. And with a lot of them, they're just like a lot more free. They're like YouTube was back in, I don't know, like 2010, 2011 YouTube. They're kind of like that. They're just really out there, really like there. You could pretty much put whatever up on them. So HorrorTube was intended to be a separate site that worked as a YouTube alternative and was there just for horror content. So kind of like something you could have made an app out of or just kept it at the website where you could go and you could find, for example, creepypasta readings or, horror narration of Reddit stories or, I don't know. I don't know how far it got into development or what the ideas really were. I know that just as a basis, it was like horror-related video content would be up on there. But, I don't know. There could have been a ton of ideas. There's a lot of good ideas still for something like that. If you were to make a HorrorTube today, you could put a lot of good ideas into that. You could not only use it as a YouTube substitute because so many of these horror creators get hit with just the YouTube algorithm and the way that it works. But you could also make it like, a good Reddit substitute for if you're trying to find stories. People could post their stories onto that, have a lot more like directness with their creators that will probably narrate their stories or stuff like that. You could just really tie not the commentary community, my bad, the horror community together a lot better with something like that. So I think that was kind of the general idea behind it. And so people use it as a hashtag still because it was a talking point at a point in time. And obviously it still makes sense to put HorrorTube on YouTube, there's a ton of different things that end in tube for different classifications of videos that go up on YouTube or different creators that are on YouTube. They often get grouped into these spaces that are called, whatever tube, right? So it's not like the most unheard of thing, and I'm not surprised that a lot of them are still using it as hashtags, because it's obviously a talking point and a grouping thing like we just talked about. But it is interesting that it really did have plans to become like a full-on YouTube alternative at one point. You know, very interesting. Not something that you would really expect, you know, but definitely something I can see happening, especially with the way YouTube is moving nowadays. I mean, if anything, now is a better time than ever to kind of bring back something like this, because I really do think it has potential. It actually sounds like a really good idea from the little bit of research I did on it. And yeah, so this was a little bit of a shorter What Happened To video, but that's kind of because it's like a part 2 to my other one, just kind of addressing the issues and stuff like that in the last one, and also talking about this big kind of aspect of HorrorTube that I didn't really get into at all because I didn't know about it. So, as always, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you made it this far, make sure you hit the like button as well as the subscribe button. I'm trying to get to 500 subscribers by the end of this year, and I know we can do it. And also, big thank you again to Reaper's Horror Stories. Make sure you go check him out if you like horror content. I genuinely think it'll be entertaining for you. And if not, I mean, still go check it out anyway. You know, who knows? You might end up liking it. So yeah, make sure you go check him out. If you do, tell him I sent you. And yeah, have a wonderful rest of your day as always. I will see you guys later. Goodbye. So just like I did at the beginning of this video, I just wanted to give, you know, some extra thanks here at the very end. I'm not sure if a lot of people are still watching, but if you are and you did come from, you know, one of the community post from Nightmare Files, which again, big thank you to him. But if you did come from that, I did read your guys' comments on the last one, and a lot of you guys were saying, oh, you know, I still really like the horror community, and there's some really good people out there still. And I just wanted to clear up that comment section kind of issue going on with that. I do really still like the the horror community, and I do still see a decent future for it. So just wanted to let that known. I'm not saying it's the end. I'm not saying like, I can't believe you guys still watch this. You know, I still watch it. I still love the videos that go on and get created from it. So yeah, I just thought I would let you guys know that. And once again, I'm saying it for like the 3rd or 4th time now. Thank you to Nightmare Files for putting my video out there. As well as thank you to Reaper's Horror Stories. I believe I'm saying that right. I mentioned his name back at the beginning of the video. Like I said, it's been a couple days. So thank you to him for the comments. If it wasn't for you guys commenting and stuff on the last one and stuff like that, this video wouldn't have been made. So big thank you to anybody who watched the last one and left a comment. It gave me another reason to talk about this, and I'm glad I was able to, because I was able to clear up a lot of misconceptions, I think, from the last one, as well as talk about that whole HorrorTube thing that I discussed. So thank you guys so much for watching. Leave a like or hit that subscribe button. I know I already told you that earlier, but, you know, it's been like 2 minutes now since you heard that. So just thought I would let you guys know again. And yeah, with that being said, as always, have a wonderful day. I will see you guys next time. Goodbye.